June 22, 1941, 4:00 a.m., Soviet-German border, inside a concrete pillbox listening to the sound of thousands of German tanks and vehicles moving in the darkness just across the border. 20 of us, Soviet border guards, watching through the firing slits as searchlights swept the German side, illuminating what looked like the entire Wehrmacht massing for attack. We'd been at our posts for 3 days, watching the Germans build up their forces, sending reports to Moscow that were ignored. High Command kept telling us it was just exercises, that Germany wouldn't dare attack. But we knew better. We could hear them out there. We could see them. And in a few hours, we'd be the first to die when Hitler launched the largest invasion in human history. My name is Private Alexei Volkov, and this is the story of how I survived the first day of Operation Barbarossa, the day Germany invaded the Soviet Union. I was 19 years old from a small village outside Minsk, and I'd been in the Red Army for exactly 8 months. They'd assigned me to a border guard unit, which seemed like easy duty. We manned a fortified position right on the border, watching for smugglers and border violations. Nothing ever happened. Until June 22nd. Our position was a concrete bunker with firing slits covering a bridge over the Bug River. The German border was 200 meters away on the other side of the river. My sergeant was Dmitry Kuznetsov, a 35-year-old veteran who'd fought in the Finnish War. Our platoon commander was Lieutenant Petrov, fresh from officer school, 22 years old, terrified. For 3 days, we'd watched the Germans mass across the river. Tanks, trucks, artillery, soldiers, more equipment than I'd ever seen. Thousands of vehicles, tens of thousands of men. They weren't hiding it. They wanted us to see. They were showing us what was coming. We sent reports. Moscow responded, "Do not provoke, it's an exercise." But this wasn't an exercise. This was an invasion force. On June 21st, Sergeant Kuznetsov gathered us together. "Listen carefully. Tomorrow morning the Germans are going to attack. I don't care what Moscow says. I've seen this before. This is an invasion. When it starts, we hold this position as long as we can, then we retreat to the secondary positions. Don't be heroes. Stay alive. Understood?" We all understood. We spent that night checking our weapons, stacking ammunition, preparing for battle. None of us slept. We just waited. At 3:15 a.m. on June 22nd, the German artillery opened fire. The barrage was beyond anything imaginable. Thousands of guns firing simultaneously. The sky lit up with muzzle flashes. Shells screamed overhead and exploded all around us. The ground shook continuously. The noise was so loud you couldn't think. Our bunker was built to withstand artillery, but the bombardment was so intense that dust and chunks of concrete fell from the ceiling. The lights went out. We were in darkness except for the flashes of explosions outside. The barrage lasted 2 hours. When it finally stopped, Sergeant Kuznetsov shouted, "Stand to, they're coming." We rushed to the firing slits. In the dawn light, we saw them. The entire German army advancing across the bridge. Tanks in front, infantry behind, more vehicles than you could count. It looked like the end of the world. "Open fire," Kuznetsov ordered. We opened fire with everything we had. Our machine guns raked the bridge. Rifle fire from 20 men. We hit Germans, saw them fall, but more kept coming. For every one we dropped, 10 more took his place. A German tank reached our side of the bridge and fired its main gun at our bunker. The shell hit the concrete just above our firing slit. The explosion was deafening. Half our men were killed instantly by the concussion. Blood and body parts everywhere. I was thrown across the bunker, my ears ringing so badly I couldn't hear anything. Sergeant Kuznetsov grabbed the survivors. There were 7 of us left out of 20. "Fall back, move." We grabbed our weapons and ran out the back entrance of the bunker. German soldiers were already around us. We fired as we ran. I saw Lieutenant Petrov go down, shot in the back. I kept running. We retreated through the forest, German infantry chasing us. Machine gun fire cut through the trees. Men were falling all around me. I just ran, no destination, just away from the Germans. After maybe an hour, I found myself alone. I'd been separated from everyone else. I was lost in the forest, German soldiers everywhere, the sounds of battle all around. This was the first day of the war, and the Red Army was already collapsing. I hid in a drainage ditch for the rest of the day, watching German columns roll past. Tanks, trucks, motorcycles, endless streams of vehicles all heading east into Soviet territory. The speed of their advance was terrifying. By nightfall, they'd penetrated 30 miles into Soviet territory. Our entire defensive line had been shattered in less than 12 hours. When darkness fell, I started moving east, trying to find Soviet forces. I walked for 3 days, hiding during the day, moving at night. I survived on berries and water from streams. I saw destroyed Soviet vehicles and dead soldiers everywhere. The Wehrmacht was crushing us. On the 4th day, I found a Soviet unit, remnants of different units that had retreated and regrouped. They were trying to establish a defensive line to slow the German advance. I joined them. For the next 3 months, we fought a desperate retreating battle, trading space for time, trying to slow the Germans long enough for Moscow to organize a real defense. Of the 20 men who'd been in my border guard unit, I later learned only 3 survived the first day. Sergeant Kuznetsov was killed leading a counterattack. Most of the others died in that bunker when the tank shell hit. The first day of Operation Barbarossa was the worst military defeat in Soviet history. The Germans destroyed 1,200 Soviet aircraft, most of them on the ground. They captured or killed hundreds of thousands of Soviet soldiers. They advanced up to 50 miles in some sectors. It looked like the Soviet Union would collapse in weeks. But we didn't collapse. We retreated, we died by the millions, but we didn't quit. And eventually, at the gates of Moscow in December 1941, we stopped them. We went on the counteroffensive. The tide slowly turned. I fought from June 1941 until May 1945, from the Bug River to Berlin. I was wounded twice, saw more death than any human should see, did things I'll never talk about, but I survived. The Great Patriotic War, as we called it, cost the Soviet Union 27 million dead. 27 million, more than any other country in World War II. And it started on June 22, 1941, when I stood in that bunker watching the German army come across the bridge. I'm 102 years old now, one of the last survivors of that first day. And I'll never forget watching the largest invasion in history roll over us like a tidal wave, knowing that everything was about to change, that millions would die, that the world would never be the same.